This episode of the Going Yard podcast is sponsored by Wagner Industrial Training Systems. Does your company need a boost getting employees to understand that safety is a personal responsibility? Does your company struggle with recordable injuries and lost time accidents? If that's you, give our friends at Wagner Industrial Training Systems a call today at 717-479-1052. Wagner Industrial Training Systems offers a variety of safety and continuous improvement services, including forklift certification and behavioral-based safety training topics that include lockout tagout, machine guarding, PPE, respirable, crystalline silica, and countless other topics. Does your company require first aid, CPR, or AED training? Wagner Industrial Training Systems has licensed instructors to cover those topics as well. What would life be like for your family if something happened to you today at work? Give the guys at Wagner Industrial Training Systems a call today at 717-479-1052. Also, check them out on Facebook at Wagner Industrial Training Systems. All of our listeners will get 10% off of their first class just by mentioning that you heard this ad. So call today. All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to episode 3. We're at episode 3 already of the Going Yard podcast. How you doing, Tyler?
I'm doing well. How are you doing today, Dan?
Oh, I'm doing great, man. It's been a crazy, busy, productive week. I mean, we've been going like animals, crazy animals at this thing, man.
Every day it's something. We interviews, social media posts,
Yeah.
lining up future interviews.
Yeah.
Every day has been something this week dedicated to the Going Yard podcast. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. It's just that we are doing our absolute best to bring you the best that we can every single week.
Yeah, and we're really just like testing ourselves and stretching our limits because I mean, you guys, I'm pretty excited to say that this episode alone, we do different things. We have another interview, another great interview, which we'll introduce here shortly. We have a fun game we're going to be playing today with our wives called Will She Know It?
And it's a treat. It's
Yeah,
a real
it is.
treat.
And going forward, we're just going to tweak it even more and make it more exciting and more enjoyable. And it was just fun. It's fun to have someone in studio, but we also have special guests lined up to actually be with us in studio. We got our very first sponsor, which we're excited about.
Every week it's growing. I mean,
Yeah.
We posted on our social media about going on our merchandise page. We got some
Yeah.
different things you can go on there and buy, like phone cases and coffee mugs, travel mugs, those types of things. We're going to be working on T-shirts coming out soon, very, very soon, hopefully. In the next couple weeks, we'll get those out and posted up for you guys to help support us and what we're doing and some of the sayings that we got. So it's real exciting times here with the Going Yard podcast for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And what's really funny that like the way that all came out with the merchandise, it actually happened by accident. I bought those mugs just as a surprise for Tyler, just so we could both, our birthdays were just recently, and just so we could both have, instead of having glasses on the table with water, we could actually have coffee mugs, and with our emblem on it. So I posted that just to really post that, hey, we're excited about this, and look what else we have here that we're going to be using in studio. And then all of a sudden I started getting questions, hey, how can I get one of those mugs? 3 or 4 people the very first day, and it was insane. So I appreciate you guys. That happened by accident. So
it's like anything, though. If you reach out to us with questions, comments, or things like that, we're going to make it happen the best that we can, no matter what it is.
Yep. And before we get started in letting you guys hear this interview with Coach Mike Resetar, we also want to say every time you see one of our videos, whether it's we post it on Facebook, or we do a snippet on Facebook, or we do it on YouTube, you're going to notice our room, the studio just kind of changes every single time. We got more and more stuff on the table in front of us. We got stuff in the back.
Every week it's been a different angle.
It's been a different angle. But the reason why it's all changing is we've had people donate their memorabilia to us, not necessarily for us to have, but we kind of hang on to it for them and put it in the shot and post it up for you guys. So if you're like us as growing up, where you collected starting lineup figurines or posters and all this other stuff, it didn't matter what team it is, and now it's just sitting in your mom's basement, If you'd like to unload some of that stuff, and we don't want all your junk, but if you'd like to unload some of that stuff so we can fill up this wall, I don't care. Right now we got Yankee stuff on the wall, which I never thought I'd have that in my house. But any team, it doesn't matter. We'd like to really fill up this wall just so it is covered in baseball.
Nothing will go higher than our highest Orioles thing, though. Our Orioles will always be at the top of our wall, no matter what you send us. Sorry, everybody. We love you, though. No, but it's exciting. This is growing by the week, by the day, and it's truly through all your support as fans. We couldn't do it without you. That's for sure. I'm real excited for you guys to hear this interview. It's gonna be a lot of fun, and it's gonna keep growing, and we're gonna keep bringing you different perspectives going forward. I mean, we had a former player on. Now we got a coach on. Next week and the following 2 weeks after that are gonna be different perspectives. And me and Dan, we're gonna bring you baseball from all sides of it. And I hope you really enjoy this and like it. We're having a lot of fun doing it, and it's gonna continue to grow from here on out.
Yeah, I think so. So, guys, enjoy this interview. This is Coach Mike Resetar. On the line for our very first installment of the Coach's Corner with Coach Mike Resetar. Mike was the catcher at Mansfield University from 1993 to 1996, and for the past 20 years, he's been a math teacher at Southwestern Senior High School in Hanover, Pennsylvania, as well as the head varsity coach for the Southwestern Mustangs baseball team. Mike is also the president of the Southwest York Outlaws organization, where he coaches both baseball and fast-pitch softball all the way from ages 8 to 18. Outside of coaching and teaching, Mike is also the owner of Arena Sports Baseball and Softball Academy. Mike, thanks for coming on.
How you doing? Thanks for having me, guys.
Oh, we're doing great. We're pretty excited for this. And for those of you listening that may not know, I played for Mike for a short period of time my freshman year in high school, and that actually was your first year coaching. So that's pretty cool.
It was, yes. Yes, it was.
How time flies.
Long time ago, Dan. Long time ago.
Yeah, and you were also my math teacher, and I did pass your class, so that's plus.
I thought Dan was going to run out of breath reading off all these things that you do, Mike. Goodness gracious.
Yeah,
I mean,
your entire life is filled with baseball.
Your poor wife. No.
It really has been. Baseball's my passion.
Yeah, it shows.
So we're going to jump right into it. And for everybody out there, I've been blessed and lucky enough to spend the past, this is my 6th season coaching side by side with this guy as his JV coach and a varsity assistant with him. Learned a lot from him, taking a lot of advice, a lot of knowledge, a lot of leadership, mentoringship, and tried to pass it on to some of the other kids that I've coached and worked with. So it's a lot of fun to get to do this with you. So I'm going to jump right in with it here and, ask about when you played, Mike, back in, a couple years ago, I guess, when you used to play, and how your high school career went and what ultimately led you to choose to go to Mansfield University.
Well, I was a Southwestern graduate in 1992, and I had some success in high school, and I was on a travel team with a friend of mine, a good friend of mine now. His name's Mike Croninger, coaches an elite level showcase team, and I was one of the first teams Mike had, and I was actually Mike's first scholarship player. And we were traveling around, and we were kind of in the greater Harrisburg area, and we were playing a team up in Palmyra, and out of Palmyra, we were playing them in Hershey, and the Mansfield coach was up there watching this kid pitch from Palmyra, and I had a real good day off of him. Went 3 for 4 with 2 triples and a double, and the Mansfield coach, his name was Coach Teddy. He liked what he saw with how I swung the bat, and kind of asked if I was interested in Mansfield, and at that time I was. So it worked out. So had a couple different schools to go to, but Mansfield was good. They were the runner-up national champions the year before I got there. They lost to the University of Tampa in 1992, the College World Series. So it was exciting times. Their junior catcher was getting drafted that year. So for me, I had an opportunity to go in there to compete for a catching spot. And, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you look at it, the summer before my freshman year, a transfer kid came in from Florida State. He was only a sophomore, a catcher. And so he ended up catching ahead of me for 3 years. But I learned a lot from him. And I was able to then get into starting lineup as a sophomore as a DH outfielder, and then kind of played the rest of my career there at Mansfield. So it was good times.
Yeah. So you were saying, fortunately or unfortunately, so the mentorship you got from him was probably pretty huge in that time period.
Yep. Yeah, I was their top recruit to come in as to be their starting catcher. But it just didn't work. This kid was definitely better than what I was defensively. I could hit all right, but again, he was a year older. Definitely was a good hitter. So he was the guy that used the catch all the time, and I was kind of designated the bullpen catcher my freshman year.
Mm-hmm.
And it just said learned a lot from him, and I learned a lot just about the game that freshman year. And was able to really then take it to the next step, and that's the one thing that I learned so much of at Mansfield was just learn the knowledge of the game, because Coach Hilson, who is still the coach up there, really did a nice job of teaching the fundamentals, and he came in and kind of took the approach that nobody knew anything when they got there. So he went from step one, right from the fall, teaching everything about base running and leads and stealing and throws and cutoffs, the whole 9 yards. He just taught everything. So It was an excellent education for me. So, and I do a lot of the same stuff we do today. So because of that, so it was a great opportunity. But I got to learn a lot. So the unfortunate part was I didn't get to play right away, but the fortunate part was I got to learn an awful lot.
Mm-hmm.
But that probably wasn't, out of the normal back then. You didn't get to play right away. You had to earn your time.
But again, I was coming from high school season where I really had some success and was kind of expecting to go play. So it was a major adjustment for me to really. I had 7 at bats my freshman year, so I really came from being kind of a guy that was having a lot of success to a guy that really didn't get many even opportunities to play. So it was just different. So it was definitely a learning curve for me. I had to grow up real fast because, there was many days I didn't feel like playing anymore because I didn't like it. I didn't like sitting, so I didn't feel I was getting a fair shake, but it all worked out. So it worked out real well. So, I grew up and it was great.
Well, when you had mentioned about how your coach started as if everyone was starting from scratch, and then you had later mentioned that that's kind of what you're doing today. That was the one thing I noticed coming from the little league and travel ball leagues to high school. I felt it was so structured. We broke down the one thing I noticed about you. You broke down everything: the throw, the swing to the tee, literally, no pun intended. But we used the tee a lot. It was just things that I've never been taught before. So I'm glad you brought that up because it makes sense of why your coaching style is probably like that.
So he wasn't such a jerk way back then, Dan. There was a method to the madness.
Exactly.
I was worse. That's mellow.
Awesome. So, why did you essentially get into coaching right out of college?
After I graduated with my undergrad in math education, and I stayed an extra year, got my master's degree, and I was a grad assistant up there for that. So I helped out the following year. So I graduated in spring of '96. I stayed up there and I helped out with the spring of '97 team. And then I came back home, and Phil Hensing, who was a good friend of mine, was the assistant superintendent at Southwestern, and I interviewed with him, and I got a long-term sub position as a 5th grade teacher, and then was offered the JV coaching position, so I took that, and that was good learning experience. And then the following year, the guy that was the head coach, he stepped down, and they offered me if I wanted to be the head coach, so just kind of stepped in there in 1999, my first year.
Nice.
Well, goodness gracious, that is a lot. I mean, you went from a 5th grade substitute teacher, JV coach, to a varsity coach, and when did you become a high school teacher, Mike?
That next year. I was a long-term sub that first year, and then that following year in 98-99 school year, so I took over for a math teacher that was retiring, and was able to take over for him.
So it all just kind of fell into place for you.
It just fell into place. Yeah, destiny, I guess. Destiny.
So you've been doing this for quite a while, and a few years, and I mean, going back and thinking when you first got into it, and trying to change culture and create a culture, what do you think is some of the biggest changes in the high school game from those years in 1999 to now, in 2018, with the players, with the game itself, with all of it? What do you think are some of the biggest changes that you've seen?
In all honesty, the culture has changed a little bit. The biggest thing that I see with kids is there's a lot more things for kids to do, whether it's sports-wise or, iPod-wise, computer-wise. So the work ethic of kids I've seen hasn't, and that's not all the cases, but in general, I don't see many kids just out playing baseball as much. So that, that certainly has takes its toll when they get to high school. There's a lot more that needs to take place, and especially if you've got a program where you're really trying to develop it, it's going to take a little extra effort.
Right. That makes sense. Now, after years of coaching, and I know you coach at a younger for the younger kids as well. But what is the thing that you see most that is lacking in your players when they get to high school that they weren't taught when they were in Little League? And what are some of the consistent things that you're seeing?
Well, again, I don't know, about 10 years ago, you run into a situation where some kids play and they play on some of these travel teams. They go to these tournaments and they think they're good, they win and that kind of stuff, and then but they don't play really the good competition. So that was the whole stem of the starting the Outlaws program, really, was to try to put together, competitive travel teams and play against competition that's going to push the kids to get better.
Right.
Not just go play and go trophy hunting to try to just win tournaments, but to go play against good competition. So when they get into, games that are close, they're used to playing a higher level of competition. And the travel thing is probably, back to the previous question, is probably the biggest change that I see. Aside from, that there's the thing that there's more stuff for kids to do, there are kids playing travel ball, which when I said before, there's not as many kids out playing. When I say that, I mean, they're not in their backyard playing.
Right.
Just throwing the ball around, taking,
Exactly.
Swinging, taking, hitting balls. It's more organized from that aspect. But at the same time, kids need to be out there. They just got to go play and have fun, because everything they're doing is kind of game situations. They're not just able to, throw the ball around and work on just different arm slots and, just to have fun. I mean, and play the game. And so they're lacking a little bit of that. But now with the travel stuff going on, kids are getting a lot more exposure in terms of the level of competition they're facing at a much sooner age. And my hope is with our Outlaws program, that'll start to pay dividends within the high school program, because now those kids will start to filter on in and have a little more success because they're used to a higher level of competition.
Yeah.
I mean, I think about way back when we were kids, Dan, and looking back, and even my own kid that I have, my own son, and Mike, I don't know what you think about it, how when you grew up, and I know I think your dad was a big baseball guy in your life too. So I think one thing that I think is lacking in culture is kids don't really listen to baseball on the radio. They don't sit down and really watch baseball on TV. They might see the highlights on SportsCenter, but they don't ingrain themselves into the game and the nuances of the things that are going on, and watching guys steal bases. And, I don't know. What do you think about that, Mike? Because I really think that's something that's lacking in life,
totally agree. The knowledge of baseball, the baseball IQ is not as high as what it used to be. And again, how that has to do with, kids can go home and play Fortnite for 4 hours a night. There's too many other things for them to do,
or make slime,
that are more entertaining and more fun. Because really, for a younger kid to sit and watch baseball, it is kind of boring unless you're sitting there with somebody who kind of knows what they're doing and kind of help walk you through games when things go on. But back 10, 15 years ago, or when I was a kid, and you guys are probably kids, there wasn't a whole lot of other stuff to do. I mean, Nintendo had just come out, but that wasn't much fun. So there wasn't a whole lot to do, and so you were forced to kind of, watch baseball on TV, or, go play pickle in your backyard, or whatever the case may be. And that stuff doesn't happen as much. It does in some areas, but just doesn't happen as often.
Yeah.
But you're right, the baseball IQ is huge. That's a big thing. I mean, kids just need to, they don't have that intelligence quotient when it comes to just knowing different situations.
I'm glad you guys brought that up, because I was going to bring it up actually at some point in this episode, but I just wondered if kids still did it. I used to stand in front of my TV while watching SportsCenter on repeat and swing my bat. And I would put myself mentally in those situations and swing my bat. Then I go out back and throw the ball against the wall and work on my reaction time on a ground ball and weird hops. And then we go play pickle or rundown, and that's kind of what you did.
Pepper, the game of Pepper is lost forever. Yeah. A generation of the game lost.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, like we said, you've been doing this for a little while. What do you make of like the pitching changes? I mean, the pitching limits in high school baseball. Do you think it's for the better? I mean, you've seen this all the way back from, you'd have 2 or 3 pitchers on your team and that was all you pitched all season. I mean, what do you think? And it's very kind of new to some areas. Some areas have had the rules longer. I know it's been probably one of the biggest changes in high school baseball. What do you make of the change itself, Mike? Do you think it's for the better?
I do understand the concept behind it. Again, the problem becomes, you get these renegade coaches that just try to go win games. So I do understand what they're trying to do. There's always been pitching restrictions and mandatory days rest, but it was based on the number of innings that were thrown rather than the number of pitches that were thrown. It is what it is. I don't know. I've not really seen it affect our particular game too often, the way we play. But again, I'm not one of the coaches in the past would just go throw a guy 150 pitches in a game either.
Right.
So I've always tried to care for the athlete's arm to make sure that they were healthy. Because again, ultimately, my goal, and I judge a little bit of my own success on the number of kids that can get pushed into college baseball. And, if you burn a kid's arm out, well, then that certainly limits his opportunities to be able to do some of that stuff. So again, as much as I want to win, as much as we try to win and how hard we play, I'm certainly not going to risk injury for kids. So the pitching changes really haven't affected us and the way I coach, I don't think. But I do think it's affected other people. I understand the purpose of the rule. Do I think it's effective in saving kids' arms? I don't know. I don't think there's enough data out there that shows that if you only throw 100 pitches in a game that you're not going to get arm injuries. I think a lot of the arm injuries come because these kids go to more of these showcase type tournaments and they're out there chasing the number because obviously for pro guys, they're trying to see the kids throwing in the 90s. And so kids are just out there reaching back and throwing it as hard as they possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
And for a 16-year-old kid, it's not natural for his arm to be able to throw that hard. So obviously now you're going to get tears and strains that you normally don't get because your arm shouldn't be throwing that hard. I mean, it needs to be more fully developed before that should happen. But you get these kids that can throw that hard and everybody wants them and loves them and tries to recruit them and, drafts them and all that other stuff. So that's just more of a societal thing. From a coaching X's and O's standpoint, it hasn't affected what we do. And is it safer for kids? Honestly, I don't know if there's enough data out there to make a decision one way or the other yet.
I mean, do you think part of this, maybe some of the stuff coming up, is this one sport athlete type thing that you're seeing now? I mean, there's really no off season. When we grew up, there was you played football from August to the end of November, and then if you were a basketball player or a wrestler, you started in the middle of November and you went till March, and then you started baseball, and that ended in like July 4th, and you had the whole month of July to go on vacation, hang out, relax, and then you showed back up for football camp in August, right? I mean, like, do you think part of some of this has went to the extreme of the one sport athlete? Maybe.
I do think I definitely think that's impacting it. And again, that's where these kids, or it's these kids that want to play baseball and they're on 4 different teams. And they're pitching for team 1, and then they're throwing 2 days later for team 2, and then they come back and throw 3 days later for team 3, and then they go back and pitch for team 1 again, and they're just not getting the rest. Honestly, that's where parenting has to come in. I think parents need to find a place for the kid to play it. I definitely think kids need to be playing multiple sports because it teaches the competitive nature, teaches athleticism that they don't necessarily get. There's a lot of skills involved in basketball and wrestling and swimming and football. That baseball doesn't give them in terms of just functional movement. And so kids need some of that in addition to the competitive stuff because, football is pretty intense. Basketball, a lot of pressure on the foul line. Baseball, there's a lot of downtime. It's not as an active sport. So again, I think those multi-sport athletes benefit a baseball player. But, I do think the pitching thing has certainly some of it has come to bear that, high school coaches are facing the consequences of what these kids or what these travel teams are doing because they're just out there, shopping arms.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, I think I know this answer, but you had talked about, like I mentioned earlier, about starting at square one, even for your high school players. Do you take any type of different approach now that you're also coaching younger kids? Do you use the same exact approach when teaching the game, or do you change it up at all?
pretty much take the same approach. I mean, they can pay attention in the classroom. They can pay attention on the baseball field. Obviously, the level of the skill that we teach is a little different, but the knowledge of the running bases and the bunting position and hitting swing, all that stuff is stuff that can be taught and can be learned. So no, I'm teaching my 11-year-old team the same that we teach the high school guys. So, whether they can perform it or not, that's a different story, but they're at least hearing it. So eventually when their body physically catches up, they should be able to hopefully know what they're doing and have that knowledge of, oh yeah, this is how this is supposed to work.
Do they say, "I know, coach, I know"? Do they tell you that too at 11 years old?
No, not my team. No, they're not my team.
What for you, Mike? What is one of the differences between coaching baseball and coaching softball? I mean, I know you've gotten into both now just recently over the past couple of years. What is one of the biggest differences between the two?
The softball game is a lot faster. Obviously, the field size is smaller. The game itself, in terms of the quickness, rather than taking 4.5 seconds, 5 seconds to get a kid down the line. In high school, you're talking 2.75 to 3.25 seconds to get down the line in softball. The pitching distance is a third closer. They're throwing from 43 feet from 60 feet. The game itself is faster, but for me, the mechanical part of it, the knowledge part of it, the situational part of it, I don't take a different approach in how I teach it. That's all the same. But the just general speed of the game is a lot different.
All right.
I'll tell you, I get so excited to watch of the Women's College World Series more than I do the men's college. The game at the Division I level for women's college softball is so intense and so exciting.
It's so fast.
It's unbelievable how quick these women play.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, it's fun. It's fun to watch. Another difference, too, is like in softball teams, I mean, you need one arm. Baseball, you need multiple arms. You look at some of these softball teams, the girls are 28-2. I mean, they just rack up tons and tons of, they're out there all the time.
Yeah.
Baseball is certainly not the case. So, that's another big difference is, you can get away with one real good arm in softball as opposed to, in baseball, you need multiple guys.
So staying in kind of the youth realm of things, what would be, in your mind, one of the most important drills that a young kid could do offensively, and what's an important drill that a kid could do defensively for the dad out there whose kid's getting into it? What is the one thing where dad should start at from the very beginning with his son or daughter and go with? You know what I mean?
I would say from an offensive side of things, just being able to get into a good hitting stance and being able to kind of just again, a lot of kids are just all off balance. Their bodies lean in different directions. If you start with proper form with your footwork up to your hips, up to your chest, where everything kind of is in line, I think that's a good reference. When I'm doing lessons with kids, that's the very first thing I look at. If I have a kid who, is leaning way too much on his backside or getting way out on the front side, we try to balance everything out offensively. Defensively, again, if you break it down to just the basic fundamentals of fielding mechanics, learning where your glove position should be, learning how your feet should be as you approach a ball. You get a lot of kids that just kind of get clumsy when they approach the ball. They don't know how to get to it, with any kind of smoothness. And so, just teaching the basic fundamentals of how to feel the ball with your hands out front, those types of things I think are extremely important. And that's how we start with our 11-year-old kids. Well, we started when they were 8, 9, and now a lot of them have, now it's just second nature. We still have a few kids that haven't caught on yet, but again, we continue to harp on it. So those are two huge things. Just kind of get the basic footwork. And then as they get older, kids will start to develop their own style and their own, little things that they can tweak on their own, to develop their own uniqueness to the game. But there is a core set of fundamentals that need to be in place in order to be able to play at a high level.
All right, that's valuable. Okay, so Coach, we have a couple more questions here. we don't want to hold you up for too long, but every single week we ask a question. We put out something to our fans. We call it the wild card question, and we ask them. Basically, we tell them, hey, this is who we're having on. If you could ask them any question, what would it be? So we have a submitted question from Nikki Bull on Facebook. She wanted to know, what approach do you take when one of your players is struggling with thinking too much?
I just had that happen today. We had a game. We didn't play well, and the kid texts me and says, "Hey, what do I need to do?" And I pulled the old Aaron Rodgers card out. I spelled out RELAX, relax. This is a game where, as a coach, I want to teach, I want to instruct, I want to help. Okay, but at the same time, you can't fill your mind with too much, because the game happens so fast. Mm-hmm. And if your mind isn't right, you're not going to be able to play the game. You've got to trust that your training, that your practice has gotten you to a certain level that you're going to be able to perform. If your skills aren't there yet, well then that changes. But if you got a kid who has the skills to perform at their certain age group, they've got to just relax and play the game, because you're not going to be able to change things too drastically on the fly.
Yeah.
There's certain things you can change that you can tell a kid, hey, try this, try that, and they can adjust. But wholesale changes, those don't happen in game situations. So, kids have to relax, play, have fun. And then with that, got to understand this game's a game of failure. You're going to fail a lot, and you're going to fail more than you're going to succeed. And so you've got to be mentally tough, and you've got to be able to accept that and understand that, hey, it's okay to fail and not be afraid to fail. And if kids can do that, and the sooner they learn that it's okay, and I just have to continue to work hard, you'll certainly find kids having more success.
I think the one thing kids lose a little bit and they forget is that this game doesn't grant you immediate success. It's something you do repeatedly over and over and over again, and then as you do it, it will build itself to where you do get that success. But just one magical swing isn't going to fix everything overnight. You know what I mean?
Yep. And for someone to get into their head so much, because every sport, especially baseball, is a mental game. This is something, it starts now, but then, you look at Stanton, you look at Davis in the major leagues, they're in their head. They are. It happens
to the best,
to a 12-year-old, and it happens to a 31-year-old. So
that's right. Yes, it does.
So, all right. Well, listen, we really enjoyed this interview with you. We learned a lot. We do have one more question for you before we get you out of here. We're going to ask this to every single guest that we have on the show for an interview. Okay. It's kind of a corny question, but we like to know, and we like finding out what kind of person everyone is on this side, because I'm a music guy. If you had one at bat in the major leagues, what would your walkout song to the plate be?
Probably the Orioles 7th inning stretch song, John Denver.
Yes.
I love that. I love that song.
Thank God I'm a country boy.
Thank God I'm a country boy. I just like the song. It just has that upbeat feel.
Yeah.
Kind of puts you, every time you hear it, just puts a smile on your face. And also at the end of the day, Tyler, you said it, this is a game, and it's not life or death. The game can teach you an awful lot about life. But you got to understand it is a game. And, when this thing becomes too serious, you kind of lose sight of that, and the game starts to no longer become fun. And again, trust me, I'm as competitive as anybody, and I don't like to lose. So, we get after it. But, that's part of the lessons in life that you learn that the game can teach you. Some days you're going to play really well and, just come up on the short end of the stick. Mm-hmm. Other days you're going to play bad and, may squeak out a win. Some days you're going to play bad and just get your tail kicked, but at the end of the day, it's a game. You got to learn from it, pick yourself up and get better. And, if you get better every day, that's kind of our motto this year. We've been preaching it, get better every day. Every time you take the field, try to get better. And if you can do that, at some point, the wins should start to take care of themselves. When you stop getting better, then you're not going to get any wins. So, so that song just kind of makes everybody smile, puts you in a good mood, and just kind of relaxes you.
I like it.
I love it. For all of us O's fans who've ever been to Camden Yards, it's been a thing. My dad tells a great story about being at the World Series and seeing John Denver play that song live at the stadium back in the day. So I'm kind of he brings that up once in a while.
Pretty sweet.
I'm like, that'd be pretty
Cool.
exciting. You know what I mean? For everybody who's been an O's fan and been at Camden Yards or Memorial Stadium to hear that song, it really does have a special place. I guess it's kind of one of those things for everybody. It's a great choice. I love hearing it.
Awesome. Well, Coach, we appreciate your time on here. Before we let you go, is there anything you want to plug? Your business website, Facebook, Twitter, anything like that?
Nah, we're good.
No?
Nope.
He's a simple man, Dan.
Kids out playing, just get kids out playing baseball. That's what we want. That's what we want.
That's right. Let's start playing some pickle. All right, Coach. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All
Appreciate it.
Have a good
good
evening.
one. You too.
You bet.
See you.
Thank God I'm a country boy. Well, I got me a fine wife, I got me old fiddle. When the sun's coming up, I got cakes on the griddle. Life ain't nothing but a funny, funny riddle. Woo! Thank God I'm a country boy, yeah!
Whew, I'll tell you, that is a tremendous song. I'm glad he couldn't have picked a better one for us as O's fans, I don't think, Dan.
Oh, yeah.
Every time you go to an O's game and you hear that song come across in the seventh inning stretch, it's an exciting time in the stadium, and all the kids are up dancing, and parents are clapping along to it.
Oriole birds dancing around.
On top of the dugout, it's always fun. Yeah. But that was a great choice of song, Mike, and I can't thank you enough for coming on and doing that interview with us. It was a lot of fun having you on. I've got to coach side by side with him for the past. This is my 6th season with him, and always learning something new from him every year. We're always going back to the drawing board, trying to come up with something new, innovative, to keep the kids engaged. One thing people should know about him is that he's always willing to learn. He's not a closed-minded individual. He's not my way or no way. He's always trying to find a new way in what everybody else is getting into. I mean, it was great perspective. I hope some of our listeners, dads out there, can pass some of the knowledge on to their kids.
And moms.
The moms. And I hope some of the kids that hopefully listen to this podcast can take something away from it. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, I think the one thing I heard, I mean, there was many things in the interview, but the thing that stands out the most, it was right at the end there. And it's really huge for kids to learn at a young age that this is a game of failure. You're going to fail more than you ever have, than you will succeed in this game. And the thing is what you take from it. And what, it's very cliche, but it's what you learn from it and move forward with. But even major leaguers right now, they get paid millions of dollars to fail 7 out of 10 times at the plate. As long as they get 3 hits, they're making millions, out of 10 times at bat. But those failures that they have, they're learning.
It's all part of it.
That's why they are where they are today.
Yeah, I mean, I loved his line about RELAX, relax.
Yeah,
that is a perfect thing, to just keep in your mind when you're playing this game. So just to relax and enjoy it, and try to have as much fun doing it as you can, and not make it too much like a job.
Yep, exactly. So thanks, Mike. We really, really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. We really appreciate it. We look forward to having you on again, hopefully down the road here at some time. So that was a lot of fun. Let's move on, though. I think that you are all going to love this part and bring in Diana and Stephanie on board and bringing them into the Will She Know It segment of the show.
There she goes again, racing through my brain, and I just can't contain it, this feeling that remains.
All right, so this is the very first edition of Will She Know It? For everyone that's listening at home, we have 2 guests in studio. We have my wife, Diana, and Tyler's wife, Stephanie. Say hello.
Hi.
Welcome.
We should have done that at the
This is
same
weird
time.
as shit. This is like Parent Trap. Like, what the hell is that? All right. So to let you guys know, this is what's going to happen. So on the episode of Will She Know It, we are going to ask you 3 questions. Now, the questions are not that hard. So
We'll see.
Supposedly. Yeah.
You'll
So they
see.
say.
You'll
Yeah,
see.
So they're not that hard. We're going to ask you 3 questions, and we're going to give you 3 multiple choice answers. Now, don't write anything down yet. Actually, you can. You can if you want to, but we'll give you a chance to think about it. Okay. So I'm going to read you 3
Think
questions.
long and hard about it.
We're going to read you all 3 questions, all 3 multiple choice for each questions, and you guys think of it. We'll give you a little bit of time, and then we're going to go over your answers. Okay.
Do you realize that we're both super competitive?
Yeah, I do know
Yeah,
that.
that's what makes this exciting.
Yeah, I do know this.
You're going down.
Yeah.
Good thing we're friends, bitch.
Oh, yeah. So this could get very interesting. So, Tyler, how you want to read these questions? You want to go with the first one?
Yeah, I'll go with the first one.
All right.
All right.
God.
You may have heard of this team. The Houston Astros won the World Series last year. What team did they beat?
Hold on, time out. Diana raised her hand. She's like, Houston Astros? Is that a team? God
Where are
damn
they
it.
even located?
This is
at?
a-
What
this-
city are they in?
This is a great start. All right. I'm glad we have this on video. So everyone saw that.
So, the Houston Astros won the World Series last year. What team did they beat? Was it A, the Washington Nationals, B, the Los Angeles Dodgers, or C, the New York Yankees? Remember, you're writing it down. You're not yelling it out loud.
Now you're laying out. Okay. And we'll read them back if you need to. All right. So I'm going to go with.
Don't my paper. Can you repeat?
Yeah, just gotta write it down.
My answer's already written down, by the way.
All right. That was enough time. All right. We're going to go with question number 2. You ready? Which team ended their 108-year World Series drought in 2016? They're already writing. Was it the Red Sox? No, careful. Was it the Red Sox? Was it the Royals? Or was it the Cubs? That's the Boston Red Sox, the Kansas City Royals, or the Chicago Cubs. Go.
Can you repeat the question?
Huh?
Repeat the question.
All right. She asked to repeat the question.
Do we give repeats?
I don't think we should, but
yeah.
I think for the first one,
Something about 100 streak something or other.
that's interesting. All right, you're close. You had the 100 something right. All right, so which team ended their 108-year World Series drought in 2016?
Got it.
Go.
I'm good.
Okay, we don't have to play the music?
Yep.
Apparently
Got
not.
it. I got
Okay,
it.
all right.
Let's see if you
All
really
right, hold
got
on.
it here in a
Not
minute.
yet. All right, now this last one, we're not doing multiple choice.
This is open-ended.
Oh, this is great.
We're leaving this up
This
for
is
your
so
imagination.
unfair.
Yeah, this isn't an essay question or anything like that, but we feel that you may both know this.
Possibly.
Yeah, you asked this one,
All right.
All
I'm
right.
listening.
This was the one we
on.
felt that you guys would both have a clue at.
and it's not David Justice.
Not at all.
If you guys listen,
Not that sexy mofo. Mr. Suave, as Dan called him.
oh shit!
Name one player for the Baltimore Orioles to wear number 9 on the back of his jersey. Go.
She probably wrote it.
I don't know.
Let it go the whole way. I said one player. It could be it could.
You think they know 2?
I hope so.
I doubt it.
I don't know. I know
don't
two
think
that
so.
had basically the same swing. I'm not gonna. I'll talk about that later. You guys got it?
Do you think
I'm
you have
good.
some?
I got this
I
one.
took a guess.
I have.
A guess?
I
Oh
have this
man!
one.
All right, cool. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna read back the questions, and both of you are gonna say your answer, and then we'll tell you who is right.
Okay.
So Tyler, I'm gonna do the question reading, and you yell out who is right, and you point at the other one in shame
This
and
is
say you
embarrassing.
lost. No, I'm just kidding.
No, we need to let them say their answer when we say it, though.
Yes, that's true. All right,
That
so
way
yeah,
everybody
you can
knows.
ask the first one. Go.
All right. So the Houston Astros won the World Series last year. What team did they beat, Diana?
The Dodgers.
What team did they beat, Stephanie?
The Dodgers.
Ding, 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 ding.
All right,
Woo!
1-1.
Ooh.
Holy shit!
good.
Listen, I may be a little bit surprised here. That's
Shut up.
well, I just saw your hands raised. I'd be like, who? Who's the Astros? What the hell are we talking about today?
I
we
struggled
talking baseball. We talking the Jetsons. Like, what the hell is going on?
I struggled for a second because I was rooting for the Astros, so I didn't
Yeah.
care who they were playing.
I gotcha. I
right.
gotcha. Oh, don't slam.
No, I got this.
You're echoing.
A little bit.
All right.
I got this.
All right. Question number 2. You guys ready? Mm-hmm. To give your answers.
Ready.
Which team ended their 108-year World Series drought in 2016?
You go first.
The Royals.
Okay.
The Cubs.
And the answer is the Cubs.
Oh no!
All right, listen,
Shit!
just for fun, we're going to go because it was 1-1 and now it's 2-1. We should probably have 5 questions going
Probably,
forward. Listen,
going
we
forward.
learn our lessons. Like we said, when we try things, we fail the first time. So,
We will get it right the next time.
yep. So we are going to ask you the third question. Ty, you're looking up something. So I'm going to go and ask this question.
Yes.
That's cool with you. All right. I need you to stop slamming your drink so hard on my table.
I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
She's really not sorry.
It sounds like a cellar door closing. Doosh. Doosh. Every single time. All right. So name one player to wear the number 9 for the Baltimore Orioles.
Brady Anderson.
Oh, excuse me?
Brady Anderson.
Okay. What'd you say?
I got this one wrong.
What'd you say? If you said Nate McLeod, that's still right. Wait, I can't see. Say Nolan Reimold.
I did.
He's number 14.
Number
He's number
14.
Oh,
So
It's
the
okay.
First round of Will She Know It
was
goes
one.
to
Is Brady
Yep.
Anderson right?
Yes, you were right.
Yeah.
You were right.
I thought he was.
I
Yeah.
know where you sleep at night.
Hey, do you remember the picture of Brady Anderson? We were talking about this the other day, and we were going to bring this up on the.
Dan
on-
talks about it every day.
I'm
just kidding.
No, I'm just kidding. So I was at FanFest with my cousin. It was the same year that Albert Bell and Will Clark came to the Orioles. I think that was the year that ended everything for
probably,
14
I
years.
do.
But it was that one. And I remember we were going through just like looking at baseball cards and pictures and stuff. I'm like, oh, I want to buy this. I think my parents gave me like $50 to spend, which I probably would have bought a baseball card. Or
Now
something
that
like
gets you 2 autograph vouchers at Orioles Fan Fest.
Yeah. So this was probably like 97, 98, something like that.
Way back in the day.
Yeah, so I ended up, I saw this picture, and all of a sudden I looked, and it was this black and white picture of Brady
Got
Anderson.
milk?
It was like a got milk picture of Brady Anderson. He was wearing nothing but a.
Did he have the mustache?
I listen. I wasn't worried about the mustache or what else was showing on that picture, but he wasn't wearing anything other than a pair of bike shorts. And I
The
was just,
Euro suit.
and I was just like, what is going on here? But
I'm going
that's
to Google this when we're done.
oh yeah, you should.
Nolan Reimold
because
never wore number 9.
because you know who
quiet,
else? Because you
Never
know
wore number 9.
What are you laughing at?
because you know who else saw that picture? My mother. That's
He
right,
was
Mom.
hot. He was a hot.
He was.
My mom
I don't
saw
know why
that.
I didn't think of him. I thought he was hot.
I could have sworn you would have thought of him.
I
Steph.
was excited when we saw
What?
him at the
Manny
game
Machado?
last year.
What?
What
We're
What
talking
number
about
does he
Brady
wear?
Anderson.
what number is Manny
Oh,
Machado?
13.
Oh,
1-3.
okay. No.
You know what number Nolan Reimold is?
14.
Yeah.
14.
There we go. We got
Not
that.
number 9.
Not number 9.
I wanted to let her win.
Legit,
Anderson.
if she would have said Nate McLeod, I would have fallen off the
I know.
chair that I'm sitting in.
Because tell me if I'm wrong. Their swings were pretty damn close.
Pretty close.
Pretty close. So, but Brady, I still pick you.
Brady, we love you.
All right. So that was the end of our very first round, won by Diana
Woo, you go,
of
girl.
Will She Know It?
Whoa! Wow, Dan, that was a lot of fun. I'm wondering what the girls think of doing that then again the next time.
I don't know. We're going to have more questions next time. And I think we should maybe reach out to everybody the next time when we do this and
get
say,
fan questions
hey,
for it."
fan questions, but private message us so that the
Yeah.
girls can't see it. We don't want them studying, but we have to make them at least something that you should know if you have been watching TV for the last decade or two. But even like the easy ones like Babe Ruth, like those questions. But
Yeah.
no, it was definitely fun, and I think it's just going to get more and more entertaining. And it's fun having someone else in the studio
Steph's
too.
got some homework to do, it looks like.
She does, but maybe it was the first time jitters.
Yeah, maybe. All right. Well, this is going to transition into one of our segments we're going to close out the podcast with called Bottom of the Ninth. And this has kind of been working on me a little bit. I wanted to actually bring it up kind of last week, but we really didn't feel like it fit. But I couldn't let it go much longer because of how much it was kind of irking me inside a little bit, Dan. So just at the beginning of the season, opening week, Orioles-Twins game, there was an incident apparently that took place that the Twins weren't very happy about. And, I was kind of shocked when I found out that they weren't happy about it.
Why? What happened?
Baseball has this thing called unwritten rules.
And my favorite.
Yeah, I mean, they got new ones every year, it seems like. I really don't understand it. I mean, I know some of them have been around for a long, long time, apparently.
Yeah.
But, the O's are battling and struggling, and the Twins pitcher on that game was pitching his butt off and had a great game going. He was throwing a one-hitter.
Which is
And
great.
We all know how important one-hitters are.
But we should probably put emphasis on the fact that it was a one-hitter, not a no-hitter, but still great. That's probably,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I mean, it wasn't a perfect game.
Right.
It wasn't a no-hitter. It wasn't a shutout. Oh, yeah, it was a shutout. I'm sorry. He was
Yeah, it
working
was
on
a
a
shutout.
shutout. So,
Yeah.
it was a one-hitter, the miraculous one-hitter. Chance Sisco, Orioles rookie catcher, for those of you who don't know, busting his butt trying to stay on the ball club, do his job. They put the shift on against him. So in the 9th inning, Chance Sisco goes up and drops a beautiful bunt down the third base line
Gorgeous.
and leads the inning off with a single on the infield. Well, I thought it was amazing, and the O's went on to load the bases in that inning, and they still ended up losing, so it really wasn't a big deal.
Right.
But I come to find out later that night, I'm reading through my updates and, different things on different sports apps, and I'm seeing all these comments and, all this stuff about how unsportsmanlike and all of that it was, and the Orioles and all their veteran players should take care of this, and this should never happen again. And I'll tell you, it really just bugs the crap out of me that anybody would ever complain about somebody bunting against a shift.
Yeah.
I mean, it's ridiculous. What do you think, Dan?
Well, my thoughts are this. Okay, so my view of this is I think that the bunt against the shift is the same thing as the shift against any batter. So the point of the shift is to make it nearly impossible for the batter to hit the ball into play, right?
Well, I mean, to get a hit.
Get a hit,
So,
but they can hit a home run. But most of
Yes.
the time, the pitchers are pitching inside or low, so they're going to either do a pop up or it's going to be a ground ball. They're going to get jammed, and they make it nearly impossible to put the ball in the play. So that's the point of the shift. That's why they do it, and it's completely legal.
as long
You're
as your
allowed to do it.
pitcher pitches to the shift.
Right.
Right? You
It
know what I
pitches
mean?
to the shift. Yes.
Yes.
So the bunt, on the other hand, whether it's the bunt or the bunt against a shift, the point of the bunt is to make it nearly impossible for the defense to make a play. It's the same damn thing.
It's the same thing in reverse, right?
It's the same exact thing.
So, I mean, what are they complaining about?
well, their biggest thing was this isn't good baseball. This is not what's so. What is he supposed to do, Tyler?
he's a rookie. I
And
mean,
he's
he's trying to stay on the team.
Yeah.
If he doesn't get on base and have a batting average and an on base percentage, they're going to option him to the minors.
Yep.
And he's going to be traveling around Norfolk and all of that again.
Yep.
And they're going to bring up another catcher. I mean, and the worst part is it was a one hitter, right, Dan?
right.
Guess
a
who had
one hitter.
Guess who had the one hit in the game?
Who was that?
Chance Sisco. The guy who put the bunt down
Yeah.
was the guy who had the hit earlier in the game.
Yeah.
So I'd really like to hear what the fans think of this one.
Yeah.
And I hope they reach out to us and leave us some comments and all of that, because I'll tell you, this really just, it's driving me nuts. And I'll tell you, the casual fan, I watch a lot of baseball, and this shift thing, I get why managers do it. I get it. It's part of the game now, and we just need to, deal with it. And, part of the shift is part of the reason why we came up with a segment called the 6-5-3, because it's a new double play. But this is ridiculous. When you want to cry foul and it's bad sportsmanship, it's bad for the game. When this guy is doing everything he can to get on base.
Yeah.
And, the Orioles weren't screaming when the Twins stole a base when they were up 6 runs or whatever in that game. So, I mean, to me, it's just crazy. And, the casual sports fan who doesn't know the ins and outs about everything, they're screaming at the TV, bunt the ball, bunt the ball against the shift. I mean, I get it. And I completely love that Chance Sisco did it. And to hear the Twins complain about it was a little upsetting to me. So, I'd like to hear what the fans have to say about this one moving forward.
Yeah, and with these unwritten rules. I'm sorry. There's a couple other unwritten rules that don't make any sense to us at all. And I feel like if you had made a comment about this before to me, if more teams would do this, guess what? We wouldn't have anymore. The shift.
The shift. They would change the way they approach
if
things.
if more batters would get more serious about, like, if we could see Davis throwing a bunt down that third base line while they have him in the shift every single time he's at bat, I doubt they'd.
Instead, he's happier breaking bats over his knee and striking out. I mean,
Yeah.
I get that the bunt doesn't pay you $25 million a year. I get it. The
Right.
contract
It's
he
not
got,
sexy.
It's not sexy. He gets paid to hit the ball far and over the fence. I get it.
Yeah.
But just to keep the guys honest a little bit once in a while. I mean, like I said, it started a rally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
It's one of those things that it drives me nuts that somebody wants to complain about it happening during a one hitter. I mean,
Yep.
there's so many things you could complain about. I don't think this is one of them.
Well, and one of the other unwritten rules that we had talked about earlier was, there's another unwritten rule, and this makes no sense, but it's completely accepted. So if I throw at your batter and it seemed like I had some sort of intent, or if I spiked your second baseman in the knee by accident and that seemed like there was some sort of intent in there, we're allowed to throw at you. You're allowed to throw at my player when we're up at bat. But as long as it's not at the head or more than once.
Some guys throw the head, don't care, I think.
Yeah,
Or,
but that's more accepted than this. But I mean, especially this week. I mean, look what's going on this week in baseball with the brawls and throwing at people.
How about the Red Sox and Yankees? I mean,
Oh,
how
man.
fun is that going to be the rest of the year?
We got 19 more
Ooh,
19
boy.
more times to do
Wow,
this.
wow. I was shocked that happened. Honestly, I'll tell you. It's one of those that I wish baseball would be like hockey, where you could fight till you hit the ground, and then it got
Right.
broken up. Just because I think it would be really, really exciting once in a while.
Yeah, or you know what? I was thinking about it earlier. It's like, okay, so when you have NASCAR fans and then you have people that don't like NASCAR, but what's the thing they say? I only like watching racing when they hit the wall.
They wreck.
Yeah, and then they feel like assholes when Earnhardt died. But the same thing with like hockey. It's like hockey. I can't follow hockey. I can't watch it. It's too fast for me. But I love when they fight.
When they start swinging punches,
Yeah.
everybody's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, watch out!"
Yeah, so it's been crazy. And then there was the Padres Rockies game. Good
That's a
Lord.
classic. I'll tell you, brawls have went a long way from our time when Nolan Ryan stood on the
Yeah.
mound and was like, "Come on, buddy."
I used to have a plaque in my room that it was actually a picture of Robin Ventura in a headlock and Nolan Ryan's throwing punches at his head. And on the plaque it said, "One player gets 6 hits off of Nolan Ryan in one game." It was
I mean,
fantastic.
I was watching.
He's tough.
I was watching the replay, and this guy, Arenado gets drilled, and he's furious. He goes running at the mound, and the pitcher throws his glove at him, and then takes off running. Like, you have the nerve to hit this guy.
Did he throw his glove at him too?
Yeah, he threw the
okay.
glove, and then he took off running. Like, you're gonna beat him, and then you're gonna run away.
And then once he's surrounded by the rest of the players, just like, what now? What now? Come
Yeah.
back.
I mean, this is a long way away from.
Oh man.
Like I said, I was telling Dan about Armando Benitez swinging haymakers at the Yankees when they
Yeah.
got into their brawl. And
Alan Mills
Alan
was
Mills.
punching Darryl Strawberry in the dugout.
it was crazy. I mean, like I
man.
said, and then we had Nolan Ryan's brawl. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a long way away from those, it seems like now. I mean, just a while back, Machado trying to, getting in a fight with
the entire
Oakland A's team, and then the Royals thing
Yeah.
with that guy, with that pitcher. It's like, I remember last year, the one with Bryce Harper and the Giants or whatever. Wasn't
He
it?
went to throw
And
his
then-
helmet and it shanked off to the right.
And then poor Jeff Samardzija gets a concussion in
Oh,
the
yeah.
middle of it by his own teammate, and he's
Yeah.
out the rest of the year, I believe, or he was out for
Yeah.
a good bit of time. So it's one of those that I think you don't really see too much of this in the National League as you do in the American League. It seems like, because those pitchers, they got a bat. So those pitchers, at least the starting pitchers,
Yeah.
they usually don't get into this bean fest of people. But I don't know if it's ever going to go away. I think part of it does make the rivalries more exciting. Like I
Yeah.
said, that the Red Sox and Yankees, the rest of the year is going to be intense to watch every single time.
And you have to worry about it because they've already had so many injuries, even though a couple of them are coming back. But I mean, if you look in the middle of that pile, Judge was right there. Stan it was like,
The injuries, the suspensions that could come with it.
I mean, remember Cal Ripken in
Yeah,
the
you heard
early
his-
'90s? He almost was was out because he hurt
Tweaked his knee. Tweaked his knee.
That was like
and
91 or 92,
something.
whatever that
Messina
was.
in that? Did Messina?
If Messina was on the team, was super young, but
I remember
I know
that,
he
though.
wasn't
That
pitching though.
That was one of the scares that almost ended the streak. So yeah,
Yep.
but yeah, that's definitely another one of the unwritten rules in sports. And yeah, this is another thing that we'd like to hear your feedback and comments on.
Yeah, and we appreciate the feedback that you've given us. We're starting to create a little bit of chatter in our comments section, and I love that. And I love the fact that when we put out something for our guests, a question for the wild card question, people are actually responding with things. Let's get even more, make it more exciting. So it's been really fun the last few weeks. So we appreciate that so much. And just please make sure you go ahead and follow us on Facebook. Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. We're on there at Going Yard Podcast, and on Twitter we're at Going Yard and the number 2.
Yeah, I mean, if you jump on there, you can find all of our social media accounts. You can find our webpage on Podbean, where you can get the downloads for all of our episodes and other content with pictures and videos that we post. There's also a new tab on there, our merchandise tag, where you can go on and buy some coffee mugs and travel mugs, different stuff. So, we're working on getting some T-shirt stuff together. We have some stickers coming out. So, we're going to be bringing new stuff to you every week. So just pay attention and look for it. And we appreciate all the love and support you've given us and the feedback. And we can't wait to jump in here and get you another episode next week.
Yeah, definitely. And we want to thank, we actually had our very first patron reach out to us, and he actually pledged some money for us, and we want to give a shout out to Dan Drake out of Gettysburg. We appreciate you, buddy. You're also getting involved with the conversation, so that we absolutely appreciate that. So thank you so much. And if anyone else is interested, if you like what you're hearing and you want to find out how you can support what we're doing right now, if you go to our webpage and click on the Patron and Sponsorship tab, and you'd like to contribute, please click on that tab. You can check out the many levels of support that you can give us. Any contribution is appreciated, and we thank you so much.
We couldn't do this without you listening, without you liking, without you subscribing, with everything. I mean, it all adds up. It keeps us motivated. I'll tell you, every one of these things gets us more and more excited, and we're always checking the updates. We're always texting back and forth about it and loving the support and everything you're giving us. And hopefully you find this episode is probably one of our most entertaining and most exciting, with a great interview and having the wives on and giving their crazy opinions and thoughts to things. So, we got some big announcements hopefully coming up soon, and we hope you keep following along and you keep liking it. So we'll keep plugging away, and you keep giving us some information you want to hear about.
That's right, and I think we'll end it right now. So for Diana, Stephanie, and Coach Mike Resetar, I'm Dan.
And I'm Tyler. See ya.
Later.